20. Beware of the suitability syndrome. I still have a recurring dream, one in which I failed to graduate from college. In fact, I almost did not graduate, which I suppose explains why I keep having this dream. During my last semester in college, I did part-time work for a government agency instead of going to classes. In those days in Korea, seniors took graduation for granted and did just about everything except attend classes. Of course, seniors, myself included, were busy trying to find jobs. But this "we've made it" type of mentality was a larger factor in absenteeism from classes, an expected form of behavior for all seniors at the time. One of my final courses was with Professor Woo-Choong, who now teaches at Hanyang University in Seoul. He had recently returned from studying in the United States and was highly impressed with the rational, educational atmosphere there. I was unaware that Professor Wang took attendance every day and refused to grade anyone who was absent a certain number of times. I found out too late and was in a dilemma. If I did not get a grade from him, I would not graduate. So I went to see Professor Wang and pleaded with him to let me graduate. He was unmoved. I think he misunderstood me as being a completely irresponsible student, and I had a hard time convincing him otherwise. At the time, I was president of the Business Students Friendship Association, and I even went as far as to get members of the association to visit him at his home and plead my case. At last, Professor Wang gave in on the condition that I write and submit a special report, which I did, and I did graduate. But it was a lesson to me, suitability syndrome. A senior should be as diligent as a freshman, perhaps even more so. But I had been thinking only in terms of passing my time suitably until graduation. I felt that what I had already learned in school was good enough. The lesson I learned through the experience made such an impression that I still dream about it. Consequently, since starting my own business, I have not tolerated any of this good enough syndrome among workers. It offers nothing for either the individual or society at large. Over the years, I have sold countless products internationally, and I have encountered one recurring, troublesome problem: the finished product. Korean products have been recognized for their design, quality, and prices, but the finishing of the product has always been a thorn in my side, and an excuse for buyers to cut the price even further. It means not only a loss on the price of the product, but loss of face to me as a Korean. This has always distressed me, because a good enough finish mocks all the sweat and effort that went into the making of the product. And this has resulted in great loss to the nation. We can easily find instances of this suitability syndrome. When I first started Daewoo in 1967, virtually all export products were shipped. The shipping industry was not very developed, and consequently there was great competition to get a shipment loaded and sent. So most of export companies had representatives at the port in Busan. Things were pretty frantic when it came to meeting foreign delivery deadlines. Production plants buzzed around the clock. After the products reached the customs clearance, warehouses in Busan, company representatives had to wait their turn to get a ship. If we failed to secure a ship in time, we would have to wait at least a week for another one, and all the strenuous production effort would have gone for naught. The entire fortune of smaller companies rested on securing a ship in time, so the pressure on company representatives at the docks was tremendous. Naturally, the competition among these representatives was fierce. Representatives who were not completely alert could easily be outdone by their competitors. There were even instances where one company's goods were loaded onto a ship, but after the representative left satisfied, the goods were unloaded and replaced by goods from another company. It was interesting to observe that there were three types: company representatives at the port. The first type left after confirming arrival of their company's goods at the dock. The second type would confirm arrival at the dock and stay until the goods were loaded. But third type of representative stayed to confirm the ship's departure. Representative of the first type often lost out, and those of the second type lost once or twice out of 10 chances. But representatives of the third type were always successful. The first two types of representatives were doing what they thought was good at the time, but it often ended in failure for their companies. I ordered the representatives of our company to stay on the dock until the ship was actually beyond the horizon. That was finishing the product, so to speak. As a result, we did not lose a single shipment at the dock, and our deliveries were always on time. This was highly essential in establishing a reputation for reliability with international clients. The word got around that Daewoo could be trusted to deliver. No matter what I do, I like to do it thoroughly. That is the key to success. And I have instilled this principle of doing things thoroughly in our employees. This is a principle that people should apply to everything, not just products. Doing your very best until the very end is not only important, it is essential. This has become a tradition at Daewoo, and the very essence of Daewoo corporate culture.